list? All right, here we go.
All right, so we've got a full list, and although we usually go for 5 minutes or 2 poems, I'm going to ask that you give that some consideration, given that we probably got 20 people on the list in an hour to do it in. So you can do 1 poem instead of 2, that's a lot. I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong, and don't read fast, read well. But maybe 1 instead of 2. Just give that. So with that, we're going to get started. Family-friendly content, a reminder, and I'll get us started with this one. A place for a poem to live. When you create a place for a poem to live, lower the ceiling and dim the lights. Round the corners with opaque shadows, where spectral visitations may take form. When you create a place for a poem to live, beg a seat for strangers, welcome them in. Hold a space in the hollow of your chest for the friend who will not come again. When you create a place for a poem to live, misalign the chairs, scatter cushions, open a place at the bar, infuse the wine with laughter, arouse a toast to a poet's tears. Mingle people close together, shoulder and thigh, their cares and differences falling away. Let the air be moved by unseen forces, an emanation demanding voice. Let time bend around gravity at the core of a podium light, a familiar fire, ancient, communal, in an abeyance of eyes suspended. Usher an arrival from a distance, spoken to life in the parsing of a line, in the turning of a page, cryptic or lyric, oracle or nature born. When you create a place for a poem to live, let inspiration summon apparitions, incarnations like Cheshire cats. No one knows on days like this on whose shoulders they will appear. Eileen Peterson.
I haven't been around for quite a little while, but now I'm back. I read a quotation by Leonardo da Vinci that I really liked, and he said, "Once you have tasted flight, you will forever walk the earth with your eyes turned skyward, for there you have been, and there you will always long to return." And what I wrote is, "My heart is in the air where my eyes stray, for I have tasted flight. Lifted by graceful wings on the graceful silent glider, the rush of lofty breezes fills my ears. Thermals buoy me, warmed by the sun. I am one of the birds, the clouds, the very air, alpha and omega, energy and respite, heartbeat and peace. Earthbound, I tilt my head, lift my eyes above the horizon. My heart expands. I feel a yearning to be in the sky, for I have tasted flight." And this one came from a trip to a dog rescue location. We came around a corner off of Spencer Road, and there was this rusted out truck in the weeds. Like tentacles, oh, I call it derelict. Like tentacles of fear, thick, tangled ivy invades every chink, every opening. Intertwined with dripping moss, it softens, disfigures with insidious persistence the stark lines of the rusting hulk. Hides its familiar shape, overlays a muskiness of decay, escalates its uselessness, creating a new image, a monument to waste beside a dusty road.
Thank you, Eileen. Is this somebody's pen? All right, next on the list, Sharon Munson.
Perspective. Come here, he cries from the living room. Hurry! She hears the urgency, abandons her hot tea, and hastens down the hall. Hurry! She imagines a heart attack, stroke, broken arm. The television set to his favorite auto auction. Look, he declares, with longing as a silvery blue convertible advances along a red carpet. A 1939 Hudson, he exclaims. Only 3 ever existed, and this is the last survivor. She lingers, drawn to the boy in him. I love poems.
Next up, Jules.
I collect song lyrics as a dramatic reading, and from unusual movies usually. This is from The Thousand Fingers of Dr. T, and it comes with an introduction. It's called Dream Stuff. I'm so tired. I need to lay down and just coast along for a while. Now, I'll be the captain and you be the crew.
Yeah.
Dream stuff. Funny thing about this dream stuff. First it's there, then it's nowhere. Dream stuff. Ever fleeting, ever shifting, and yet you could just keep it from drifting, but only if you dare. Now grasp that world you've been to and carry it right into the bright new day. Feel it, seal it. Don't ignore it when you feel that it's special, or you may be sifting through it for a secret message. But most of all, keep it a message only for you, and understand it your own way. Then you can make it stay. All right, one more. This is from a movie called Heat's On from 1943, starring Mae West, who sang this very strange song called I'm Just a Stranger in Town. And in the background is a line of men doing a staggered cakewalk. I didn't come to your town to visit no aquarium. I think of fish's places in the sea. I heard you have a great planetarium, but looking at your stars, I think it's not for me. Don't drag me through your museums. A picture postcard will do. You see, I'm just a stranger in town, and I've come down for some real hospitality. Well, all right, baby. Take my advice and be good to a stranger in town. I'm here to melt the freeze. It's times like these, let's skip the formalities. So, baby, please be good to a stranger in town. I'm just a stranger, but that's okay. It's a mere technicality. I might be a real asset to your community, Well, all right, baby. I'll observe all the etiquette that's sound. Now, don't break me down, but be good to a stranger in town.
Thank you, Jules. Next up, Laura Romney. Romney, excuse
I'm not a noodle. When I was just barely 6 years old, I was starting the third school in 1.5 years. So this poem came from that memory. First lesson. I'm a little lost stranger in a strange land, beginning again. New neighborhood, town, school, again. Mama, help me. I stand alone out on the sidewalk, the scary, endlessly curving sidewalk. I see you far away. In our doorway, the safe doorway. Mama, help me. First day of school. How do I find it? Just follow your nose. Was I only 6? Truly? My mother told me at 6 to just follow my nose, suggesting I travel alone to find my way. Mama, you didn't help me. I went and found my place alone down that long, long, curving street, all the while being so afraid to turn my head lest I follow my nose the wrong way. Mama, you were a seeker and a traveler, and I am too, but I would have liked more companionship, help, empathy. I still do. I still find my way by following my nose wherever it leads. But whenever I see a stranger looking lost and turning her nose from east to west, I always ask, "Can I help you?" My first lesson and only memory of that first day of school. This happened to me several years ago, and as soon as it was over, I just knew I wanted to memorialize it in a poem. Kitchen meditation. Standing at my kitchen counter, making an apple pie, listening to the public radio station, lost in the discussion of creative writing courses and of writing teachers and of lessons learned from the comments of professors and lessons learned in negotiations with editors. My attention and thoughts drift in and out as my hands press and roll and shape and fold the dough beneath my hands. Listening to this program, I'm simultaneously pondering my mother in my childhood home in her kitchen. She has her radio tuned to 1960s public radio, and while she is hearing those influences of the day, I am close by hearing her comments, her laughter, her singing. I'm watching her cook, and I don't even realize the ingredients being sifted down into the 10-year-old me. She's the one who showed me the love you put into a pie crust and the joy with which one can greet a fresh, healthy apple. She's the one who loved cinnamon first, and yes, now that I think of it, she's the one who first kept cinnamon sugar too, which I also now keep mixed together and ready to go on our favorite kind of toast. She's also one who in her later years found time and desire to write. She used her poet's voice with emotion, irony, and wit. She wore an apron, I wear an apron. I put my pie in the oven to bake, and like a time traveler, I am instantly returned to my own kitchen. The interview program is coming to a close. They tell me that this segment has been titled, "Can Creative Writing Be Taught?" Well, I don't know about that, but I know that I've learned without lessons, and I've been taught without teachings. It's sort of spooky when I realize I make a pie because my mother made a pie. My son enjoys the eating of it. He doesn't know it is made from equal parts mother and grandmother, equal parts radio listening and apron wearing, equal parts solitude and the company of other voices coming in and down through the atmosphere. I will probably not ever teach him these and countless other things, but someday, when he looks and finds them, shaped, molded, and folded within, he will know he has learned them all. Out of time. Oh, I won't.
Thank you, Laura. I remember Betty Crocker birthday cakes in the 1950s. Next up, Sabina Stark.
Okay, looks like we have a theme here. This is a piece of a memoir. It's a little scene called Beach Day. I need my glasses. My mother walked us to the subway entrance. She gave my big sister Susie a rolled up bath towel and a bag that was filled with sandwiches wrapped in wax paper and a package of Hostess cupcakes. She put only 2 tokens in Susie's hand, one for going there and one for coming home. I could slip under the turnstile. I was almost 4 years old. Susie was 9. It was a work day for my mother, but it was summer and we were both out of school. When we got into our seats on the subway, the bathing suit tie behind my neck got caught in my ponytail. Susie had to pull out a few hairs to get it loose, and we were both yelling before she could untie and retie it. At the Coney Island stop, the underground air was cooler and smellier than the train station at home. Susie held me by the wrist and pushed us both through the crowd. We rode the escalator, and when we got to the boardwalk, the breeze tasted like salt and fish with little wafts of pee. "The beach!" I yelled and broke free and ran into the sand, into the sea of people and beach towels and colored umbrellas and babies and radios and beach balls and fallen hot dogs and buns, and I was laughing, and Susie chased me between men with hairy legs and cigarettes and boys digging sand as she yelled my name, and I dashed and slipped between women who smelled like suntan lotion and girls pouring seawater out of pails and over sand mats and soda cans and sticky ice cream wrappers, and I ran, and Susie came after me in front of ladies in bathing suits and sticky ice cream wrappers and breasts and no breasts and sunglasses, and between families eating on chairs and swimmers returning dripping water down their legs, and I was still running and laughing, "The beach," and I couldn't stop, and radios were playing, and Susie screamed at me across the noisy strand and sprinted after me between so many colorful bodies, and when she caught up with me, she grabbed one of my thin arms, and I cried, and she walked us to a spot on the sand between the teenagers and yellow and blue plastic buckets and glass bottles and a pink ball and paper cones and white bathing caps, and she unrolled our towel, and we sat down, and I was afraid of the monstrous gray-blue ocean, but Susie lifted me and hugged me to her chest and walked us both toward the cool waves. And I screamed and I hit her once on the head, and she held on to me and walked in deeper, and my legs tightened around her waist as the water rose, and I shrieked, "No, I don't want to," and I tried to break free, but she held me and stood in the water until the salty gray waves splashed us up to my belly, and she ducked down without warning, and my head was drenched, and for one gasping moment I thought we would die in that terrible place, and I hated the beach, and I could see through the dirty water, and the salt tasted bad and burned my eyes. "See, it's okay," she said, and dipped us down again, and I was stunned, and I sputtered and cried, and she stood in the water just looking until I stopped crying, and she walked us back, both of us soaking wet, to the shore, and we returned to our towel, and I sat down in my own puddle of water, staring at the hideous gray-blue waves, my feet caked with grains of sand, and we ate lunch, and the sandwiches were hot, and my cupcake fell, and Susie broke off the dirty part and gave me the rest. And later, she took us to the bathroom where we showered across from 2 naked women in a room with no curtains, and the cement floor was gritty, and someone left a bathing suit on the floor in a pile of sand, and everyone walked around it. And on the subway home, my bathing suit straps were hanging untied on my back. And by the end of the ride, Susie's eyes looked red, and my face and my neck and shoulders and the tops of my arms were burning. and Susie pulled us through the crowd at the Delancey Street stop, and we took the escalator up to the street. And when we came back to the apartment, all the windows were propped open and the table fan was spinning, and we could smell chicken and onions simmering on the stove. And my mother was taking a bath, and we could hear her singing a wordless song through the open bathroom door. And I yelled to my mother, "Susie took us swimming! Susie took us swimming at the beach!"
Wow, how about that? Eric Muller.
Thank you, Charles, and Stephen, too. Poems about expectation, particularly in relation to nature. I was very interested in Stephen's poems about the desert. We tend to give nature a lot of value and research in it for things that we expect to find of value. I didn't look up the word valorize. I wanted to look that up. Maybe I should have during the break, but I think that's a real word. That's what we do. And great beach. Beach was the value, and a little turnabout. This is a turnabout too, and I selected this poem for our Southern Oregon readers. It's from one of my chapbooks. They're on the table and they're free. I don't want to take any home. Okay? Rough and Ready, which is a natural area in Josephine County, south of Grants Pass. And my disappointment will be much more compact than the child's. I've learned as an adult to take my disappointment and compress it. Okay. A stony track alongside, then parting from a stream, whose little water will be swallowed soon on our way to a blossom, exclusive to this rind of earth, this chip in time, whose name we've forgotten. We name over and over our flowers to chance upon a fit. How does water slide across a stretch this flat? Sun starting to warm intolerably. We have hats, sticks, an eye for snakes. The will people generate who pick their way toward what the guidebooks report, beautiful and rare. With each boot step, we hear the grind of stones. We wonder, is this the time, the place? Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Next up, Elizabeth.
Last month about the poetry anthology out of Ashland and Medford, Dave Meisberger, and this is his that I'm in. It's a flip book. I'm sorry, it's a flip book, and poetry anthology and short story, and I'm on page 29 of the short story, 90 Days in Ireland. Anyway, I had mentioned that he is doing his 2019 anthology, but he's put a delay on it, or a hold on having it come out. So he originally had the date that you had to submit by March 31st, but you have more time. So if anybody wants to submit for poetry or short story, it's anthologyworks.org. It's a great book. Thank you. This book my daughter made, right back there, she made about 7 years ago. Yeah. Let it be. I want to hold within my heart these thoughts forever true and real. That all is love, and love is all. No exceptions, no exclusions, as love can have no opposites. That you are a mirror for me to see the perfect reflection of all that I am, of love revealed. That I can let go all thoughts that oppose, condemn, or judge, to allow our truth to shine bright and melt such thoughts away. That along with these, the words whispered in our hearts be heard and remembered. Let it be, for all is well and right. Thank you. Great quote. Books are the quietest and most constant of friends.
I realize that I missed a name on the list. My apologies. Joshua March.
March?
Just to let you know that the word in German for March is Mertz. My last name.
I see.
So I have 3 today. I thought to myself, I'll do something about spring. Nobody else is going to do that.
Yes.
Didn't work out quite as much as I'd hoped. First, I have 2 classics, and I have one that I wrote. The classic, written by the most prolific writer ever, Mr. Anonymous. See if I remember this off the top of my head. Spring is sprung, the grass is riz. I wonder where the flowers is. Moving on. We all know that one. A friend of mine said, hey, the daffodils are sticking up little stalks. You cut one off, put it in a glass of warm water in the evening, and you'll have a daffodil in the morning. So I tried it. It worked. This is called Wanting Spring. I want a daffodil morning. The yellow trumpets crooning from a glass of water on the table like jazz musicians riffing. I want to need to mow the lawn, to cull dead flowers from the rhododendron, opening the way for more color, more music, more songs of the earth. I want to wear summer shirts, eat sandwiches in the backyard, watch the tomatoes swell with pride, listen to the jazz in my heart, and sit on the deck, basking in the sun, like a daffodil. And speaking of daffodils, I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle in the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of the bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves with glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Joshua. I want to sit in the sun on the porch of Mertz's yurt. Sherry Rose, do I have that right?
Yes, but I'm going to yield for time's reason, and if there's time at the end, I'll read. But because I'm going to sing my poem, and so if there's other people, I want to be mindful of time. So
This is your time. Come on, come on up. You're on the list.
it won't eat 5 minutes. I know that.
All right, I got your time. I got a hook too, so look out.
All right. I'm a little terrified to sing my poem, but it wants to be sung. So I came to support the arts, and my dilemma was whether to be out in the best art of all, which is nature. So I write odes to nature and love, and this is an ode to an Irish goddess. And I've only sung it so far today to the birds and the squirrels. So here we go. There was a farmer's daughter from very far away, left the shores of Kerry on a rainy day. And as they sailed for New York, the ocean held her tears. And when she cried for Ireland, the angels held her prayers. Then when they reached the New World, where every man was free, the daughter saw the bright light of Lady Liberty, and she prayed, "Lift us up, we've been beat down. Help us stand on hallowed ground. The hungry and the hopeful, the farmers turned to slaves, fighting for dear Ireland, even from their graves, fighting for dear Ireland, the home of free and brave. That fearless Irish daughter learned to stand alone, and in the land of freedom worked her fingers to the bone. For even in the New World, where every man was free, the daughter of dear Ireland stood for ladies' liberty. The lady was my grandma, a daughter turned to slave, who fought for Irish freedom and found an early grave. So I pray, lift her up. She was beat down. Help her stand on hallowed ground. The humble and the hopeful, the daughters turned to slaves, fighting for dear Ireland, even from their graves, fighting for their freedom in the home of free and brave. I am a farmer's daughter, born many moons ago, and when I sing for Ireland, I feel my own roots grow deep beneath the ocean, which holds my hopes and tears. And to the Irish goddess who hears my holy prayers, for I live in a new world where every man is free, guided by the goddess of Lady Liberty. So I sing, lift us up, we've been beat down. Help us stand on hallowed ground. The hungry and the hopeful who come here to be free, like the Irish goddess who gave me liberty. The humble Irish daughter who shines a light in me. My fearless Irish grandma from the lands of brave and free.
Yeah.
Next up, Kay.
Thank you for doing this, by the way. So I'm not going to sing.
My job. That's how I get paid.
Okay. The big bucks.
Castellization.
Okay, this is the first one. I have two. Goes like this. It's called The First Drum. The first drum is the rhythm of heartbeats. We dance primal with it, swaying together like family. This is the music of spirit. There is motion that makes us wise. It gives us back our deep core, our animal senses. This is the dawn of knowing. The sound is ancient as an echo, yet fresh as new love. Hips gyrate invitation, but accepts those out of step. This is our growth. And the next one is written from my friend David. If anybody ever deserves a poem written by them, it is my friend David. And this is written in a man's voice. It's a love song. So it's just called David. Oh, my beautiful David. Oh, my spirit of Pan. Play the flute for me in luscious fields of lavender until the birds get jealous. The soaring of sound goes everywhere. Pretend with me that we are newlyweds without any married chores. Sing to me, man to man, in a voice so deep it gets lost in oceans. Dine with me in the sunlight or in the moonlight. I love them equally well. Pray alongside me with a prayer so sweet, no heaven could resist it. I know your secrets, beautiful David. I know them all. You have trusted me with your depths. So how can a simple man like me ever repay such a gift?
Thank you, Kay. Next up is Cher.
Everybody had one name, so
Yeah,
I thought I'd use my best one.
How are we doing that?
I don't know. I just thought I'd go along with the, the whole thing. I thought it was too early for spring poems. I was in Phoenix the week of your big snow. I had it a lot better than you guys. And so I was thinking of Western themes, but then I'm Irish too, a little bit. So this one's called Ireland Ice Age. When the big waters froze in the hurricane wind, and the earth slept beneath mighty glaciers, all living things went south, sweltered and gathered dust, until there was no one left to remember the smell of peat and rain and Irish sea. When the earth turned her face to a more generous sun, glaciers reverted to ocean waves that swelled to birth rivers, and all living things went north, swam and floated in open-mouthed awe, then pitched their lives into that great green. So I came back to America. This is called The American Dream. In Old Life magazine renews my interest in the great American Dust Bowl. I can't turn my attention away from pictures of tattered families, loading broken down pickups with rocking chairs, dogs, and dirt-stained children. I like to imagine they made it all the way to California, found work in some pretty orange grove, and their kids took a bath, went to school, maybe even college, became teachers and doctors. And if some of those boys, shyly grinning on page 37, fell at Normandy or in the South Pacific, I like to believe they got the Purple Heart, and their mother kept it in the jewelry box she had balanced on her lap all the way from Iowa. But of all my wishes for all these long-lost refugees, staring out past the camera to some unforeseen future, I wish most that little Dottie June, on page 45, upper left, with her mud-brown hair and swamp eyes, I wish most that little Dottie June found her one true love and lived happily ever after.
Thank you. Next up, Donna Taggart.
This is the only poem I've written this year, and because I was going to read it at last month's Barnes Noble, I thought, I need help. Thank you, Charles Castle, who gave me kind, incisive, and insightful, gentle help. And I think if this had happened today, maybe it wouldn't happen at all. It's called Woman in Black. A woman in black walked in front of my car today, after dark. Just 60 feet from the traffic light, I was slowly approaching. Rush hour crowding me as she crossed, in her high heels and dark hose, black dressy coat, face pale against dark hair, looking back at me from the safety, thank God, of the sidewalk. A man talked to my car radio about the media's silence, no coverage of yet another mass shooting, talked of his own brother, killed just 7 months ago, along with several colleagues, targeted for being a journalist. And a train whistle wailed behind me, just a block away, a triple hit. Brake pedal slammed to the floor, heart slammed against my chest, anger and fear triggered. You're wearing black! Hands slapped my head as an expression of disbelief. Jesus Christ, lady. 3-second inhale, 5-second exhale. Her apology came through the open window. A second apology at the corner as I waited for the green and flung more anger. You were half a block from the light. Did my anguish reach her? Did she hear it in my voice? You don't know, lady. Let me tell you, please, what vehicular death does to me. 3-second inhale, 5-second exhale. She was walking quickly. I was driving slowly, urged to tell her, teacher, yet be kind about it, drawing me to follow her. But it's my own tragedy, and the cars swept me along. 3-second inhale, 5-second exhale. Headlights of a bus seared the air, coming at me too close on this narrow street. I shouldn't have turned onto Charnelton. I cringed, flattened myself against my seat. 3-second inhale, 5-second exhale. I don't usually do that anymore. 10 years have passed since I hid behind light poles when the articulated bus went by, too much like a subway train. 3-second inhale, 5-second exhale. The edge of downtown passed slowly, sad bundles of homeless on the curbs this cold winter night, a tragedy of waste. 3-second inhale, 5-second exhale. At the light, the driver in front of me got out of his pickup, gestured. My window down, I heard, "Your headlights are off." And my take on that near miss changed color, flashed red. Did the woman in black, so elegant and graceful in her high heels, lovely with her dark hair, with her dressy black coat, did she see me? Could she see me? How could I be that careless? But my fingers remembered turning the switch, turning the lights back on for safety at the start of this usually placid trip, after a brief concern that the battery in my Prius had died. I guess I didn't turn far enough. 3-second inhale, 5-second exhale. Then it was a back and forth, my fault, but she should have crossed at the light. The ghost bike of David Miner, another vehicular death, another tragedy, put the period on this jarring sentence as I reached my destination and pulled in, facing a blank wall. 3-second inhale, 5-second exhale. The parking lot was quiet. I wrote in my metal bubble on this notebook that belonged to my son, Forever 15. Holographic pictures on the front show icons of our country, New York to Los Angeles. New York. It's been a 10-year love-hate relationship. For 10 years, the images in my brain have rolled by on a repeating loop. A boy lying on a subway track, a policeman's tears, and the memory of the full-blown panic that struck me, 3,000 miles separated from him, yet suddenly connected, at the instant of life turning to death when our separate journeys began. 10 years helps, quite a bit, actually, but triggers lurk in the shadows of my life, leaping out to pull me back into the pain. grief folding itself around me, me folding myself into it, then reaching for my strength, my breath. 3-second inhale, 5-second exhale. 3-second inhale, 5-second exhale. Keep breathing. It will always be this way. Life is seasoned with the unforeseen, like the woman in black walking in front of my car. Thank you.
James, did you want to read?
Yeah.
Come on down.
That I do. Hey, folks. This is going to bother me. All right, this is wonderful. So, audience, I've noticed we gotta be all quiet with our claps. So I am a host. I run Poetry Night, page 2. I think we should give a big round of applause because I haven't really heard that tonight to these performers. I would like that very much. All right, that's the way to go. Okay, I have a very brief poem. This is inspired by my migraines I've been having. Locust eyes the fields of wonder. What is evil in this thunder? I've been afflicted with a shock I may never get up from. Fingers tremble, I can barely hold my pen. Waves of applause, I fall down off stage. The act has passed. Intermission. Better turn around the sign, I'll tell them all I'm doing fine. If only I could move. My legs have turned into mortars, pulling the plug on my future goals, I wonder. Is this really my home? Should I let down my guard? Will the shield still stand in the afterlife? Can I finally meet my true self? Will he look at all as I wish I could look? Will he be distorted from a fire? Will he have a halo of desire? Could he be good or bad? Maybe both. Whatever the case, will he get the cane? Yank me from this mortal plane. My shoulders fall, ribs jutting out, eagle between the pillars. Will this trouble have come to an end? Will I get to see my friends? Will this trouble be my end? I can't help looking on. Don't close my eyes, I'm in the limelight, sleeping backstage, waiting for my time to come again. I'll sell tickets to my show. Blacklight kettle on the stove. Tea is steeping by my chair. I'll be waiting for the gas to run out. I'll be dropping with the cold, leaking out my very soul. One last time I'll lose control. Lift it up or drop straight down, over hills or underground. I've got a list of things I'd say. Torture earned my only way. Hell or heaven, I won't be saved. Tumbling over in my grave. Tell my kids they were my choice. I want them to find their voice. I've done my part and now I'm done. Plus press rewind or move on. One last action, it's a wave. Applause before I meet my grave. Thank you.
Rhymes from James Otter. All right. All right, up next we have Sam. Come on down.
Thank you. And you are channeling through me as you speak, your words flowing through me like water being poured over my head, your words flowing in and out of me like I'm transparent, floating through the air for others to hear, channeling parts of me I've never knew were there, awakening parts of me I like, stimulating my brain, my blood boiling up in my heart, causing it to swell, pushing oxygen throughout my body, your words constantly flowing along with it, like a river pouring into the sea, your words flow. I feel the magic of those words and understand their powers coming from your brain and entering mine. awaiting the next sentence, anticipating what will come, spurring forth from your mouth. I sit in a trance, being filled with your words, hypnotized by the flow.
Nice.
Sam. So we've got 2 more readers, and then we're going to bring our features back up. Tom Renbarger. What? Tell.
Almost. The street's Barger, but I'm Barker, but it doesn't matter. Same
Barger. Okay.
It's Barger, the street.
If it can be said wrong, I will do it.
Well, it's an Americanization of what was different when it came off the boat, I'm sure. I'm going to do one quick, sort of serious, and then another little bit of humor here. This one's called Me Too Peekaboo. How it took so long to break the male wall that stood for power's sake. Who touched who, the where, the when, the wrath has come to the lives of men. From Hollywood to Capitol Hill, the gals have screamed, not against my will, how could you think you owned our bawds? You made us tramps, you called us broads. So, who draws the line? Where does it end? These centuries, can pointing fingers ever mend these centuries of foul abuse, a culture built upon an excuse of the predatory right to who's seduced? This sporting chase of pure desire, we're all so young when it catches fire. Where a dormant sex made most of the rules from that very first day we showed up in school. The battle lines of sex were drawn even before hormones egged us on. James Bond, the Bible, and yes, Tarzan showed the boys how to be a man. Enough is enough. Me too, me too. To that I agree. Yes, this life is a zoo, a human experiment, turning back time. Even God's will can become a crime. So wake up, brothers, and raise up your glass. Just hand the keys over and bow to the lass. Your 10,000-year run finally has run aground. You're lucky she's still letting you hang around. Now for something a little humorous, real quick. This one, yes. This is bored at the dentist, at my dentist. Set bored at my dentist, I shall not floss. He maketh me to lie down with clean dentures. He leadeth me beside the still molars. He restoreth my gums. He leadeth me in the path to better hygiene for his name brand. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of bad breath, I will spare no fluoride, no fear. I will fear no drills. He art standing over me. Thy nurse and thy gas, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my incisors. Thou anointest my gums with Novocaine. His water pick runneth over. Surely cavities and root canals shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in a mouth full of fillings forever. Oh, man.
All right, last up on the open mic before our features is my compatriot, Stephen Blue.
A little humor is always good, you know. As I said when Jenny read last month, she writes some humorous poetry that's really good. And humor is, I think, the hardest thing to write. So anyway, okay, real quick here. There are waves of poetry, like fads, that flow across the internet on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Back in 2015, there was a wave called 6-word stories. So I wrote some, and I flittered them out on Twitter. So here's a few. 6-word stories. In my room, I am anything. Toy box cowboy runs the show. War brings war, peace brings peace. Down the road, the devil lives. Love and compassion win the day. Dreams come true when you persevere. Magic is real if you believe. Palette of presence paints the moment. Boy falls down, man grows up. Eggs crack, chickens grow, eggs crack. Clouds part, rainbow, moon rises, stars. Roll, bake, rise, toast and jam. Dragon captured princess, slain by night. Kingdom rose, became corrupt, kingdom collapsed. Dressed up, went dancing, found love.
All right, we're going to bring our features back up, and then Stephen's going to come back and close us down. As always, it's been a great burning down the barns, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Steve, if you'd come up and give us a couple more, that would be great.
I think I'll try to be short, but I did find that one poem that I had, now I probably lost it again, that I couldn't find before. Here it is. It's from Eastern Oregon. Farm Beat, Union County. I would go to them knowing nothing, and we would drive slowly beside the fields, the rows of wheat and hay, weedless and tall, the distant wheel lines stretching across the acres until a rise would block the view. We'd drive and they would talk of the ground, seed and fertilizer, the rain leading to harvest, long winters of bending over to sharpen tools in a cold barn. At the property's highest end, they would point out the soil laced with boulders they could do nothing with, a bare fence marking the failure. Later, inside their kitchen, curtained and neat, one man, old and seasoned, the other, young, his son, would recount how they'd worked and chosen, trying to do right. At the simple table, their voices were soft and plain, the room warm by then with an afternoon light, floating its dust grains across their restless hands. And then one that's very short, that might be a good one for me to end with. A Silent World. Behind this one it breathes through flesh less tangible than air, rising from dying grass into shadow rivers and the silent tongues of clouds. At times it is an immensity of sand under lines of cormorants, at others the blurred ground of a forest where steps dissolve into roots and snow lifts against stone. Desire will not bring it, only this letting go, silhouetted trees reaching for spectral crows, with hints of an appearance, a rustle through quiet fields in January hills where wild roses carry the scent of pears, across waters unseen and unheard, the mute undertow of another earth. Thanks so much. It was a real pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I want to thank Stephen and Amy for coming all the way up from Ashland, and it has been a pleasure. Amy?
And yeah, the big thank you at the end. So this is for an old Valentine, this poem. New. Dip of your collarbone, slant of your thigh, the dusting of moles on your upper arm. I chart you slow. Expanse of your back, stepping stones of spine, how your edges blend under flesh. Your wrist bones slide under my fingers, a different combination. Your hands in mine, a different lock. The sheen on your skin almost reflects me. My fingertips graze your beard, and I try to imprint the stubble below your lip. Your smell is like a new mineral, your taste bright like pink salt. You are my just opened trunk, treetop perch, high desert, cupboard of spices, spring planted garden, my favored foreign land. And this is a Valentine for all of you. And I swear this is true. The name of the poem is I Close My Eyes When I Listen to Poetry. People notice, but I still close my eyes in class, at readings. The table legs, scarred floors, cups of coffee get in the way, almost blur the words. Even the light is too much. I don't want to see you, poet speaking from the books, poet of the open mic. Not your fingertips scanning down the page, not your mouth. I want to be your mouth. In the dark, your tongue between our lips, the liquid L's and R's, a fricative F in that inverted kiss. I wait for your keening words, your aching words, first spoken with no one else there. Sounds of animal or infant, fragmented, green, pawed through and kept, still naked. And when you pause, I breathe as you do, leaning toward the air in your throat, your projected wanting, your final line. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure for all of you. Thank you.
Wow. You know, there are some readings you just don't want to end, and this is one of them. So, and I myself want to personally thank Steve and Amy again for driving up here to be with us. Thank you. Thank you all. It's been wonderful. So, let's see. I hope you enjoyed our event. As a reminder, we are here on the second Sunday of each month. We look forward to seeing you again next month when our featured readers will be Sabina Stark and Paul Halupa. And they are on the back of our flyer back there, so if you didn't get a flyer, grab one. We hope again that you'll support our authors by buying their books or grab one of our flyers and go to our website for links to their work. Thanks again. See you next time.